not because of Jimmy Wanjigi. It is because of the constitution of the party. I am defending the constitution of ODM. I'm defending what ODM has stood for. This is a party that began in 2005. And the basis of it was a movement that led to a no vote. And it won that no vote. It is supposed to have been, and its principles are very clear, a democratic party. Let the people decide. Its constitution is very clear about the people. So you cannot have different rules at different times because of particular circumstances that are decided we don't know where. You're given a rule book, it's a constitution. Follow it. You cannot ignore the fact that some of us are bona fide members of this party. And we believe in it. And the way you treat me is going to be the same way anybody who is seeking any seat is going to be treated. Any seat. So let's be very clear. If it is a sham, it will be a sham for the MCA, for the MP, for the senator aspirant, and everybody else.
Okay. So you think, okay, why would you think the ODM is bent on doing this? Aside from the constitution, Raila Odinga has been at the center of this party for the last 15 years, if I may say so. And he has contested for president on the ODM ticket for all those years. I mean, it's just natural that he would contest again at this particular point, and that's why we see a lot of withdrawals, Jimmy.
I don't know why you say natural. You know, in established democracies, normally when you lose an election, you hand over to the next people to try the next election. You can't be a perpetual candidate. You've seen it in America. Where do you have perpetual candidates? You can't always be the one. It means somehow you are unable to win. So you must give the party a chance to reinvigorate itself. You must. You can't be a perpetual candidate. And if that is what my party leader is doing, then if he feels, and they feel, that in any manner or form he is still the candidate, subject us to a democratic process.
And let's see who wins.
And let's see who wins.
Okay. You want to take the NDC, it's a subtle threat that you have now made, that if they don't call off the NDC, you and the like-minded members of the ODM party will pursue this in court. I mean, there are so many ODM members who have tried to go to court against some rules and laws that have been made within ODM constitution, and they've never succeeded. Why do you think, as Jimmy, you might succeed to take ODM in court?
Let me correct maybe an impression you have. Let's be very clear. I want an NDC. As an aspirant for the seat of presidency, I want an NDC, but I want a properly called NDC.
Okay.
So we are very glad it was called. We are saying they have not called it according to the law. And we shall challenge this.
Okay.
But I can assure you, this is an NDC we want, we've been praying for. In fact, we have been trying to call it ourselves, because there are provisions in the same constitution where delegates can call it themselves. So we are very happy that it has been called.
Okay. Do you believe if an NDC was called and this agenda was among the many or among the few, you would win a nomination for
Hands down. Hands down.
Is that the reason they don't want you to contest?
I think you better ask them that.
What do you think is the reason?
I believe they seem to have some issues about my candidature, because they have been extremely silent from all quarters. And they know what I have contributed to this party, almost to the extent of losing my life. So you should ask them that question.
You came to ODM in pre-2017 election. There are people who've been there longer than you, Jimmy.
I don't know whether it's a question of the length of time. Because as I said, you know, everything needs to be renewed. Like even plants, everything renews itself. You cannot stay forever. Some of the officials who have been there have never even been elected. We need a process where there is a democratic election,
Okay.
even of officials, the party needs to be renewed and revigorated.
Okay. I'm
So-
going to talk more about ODM, but I want to know, you wrote the letter to the Secretary General. That is the procedure to write to the Secretary General. However, don't you think the Secretary General makes decisions based on what the party leader wants?
That may be so, but that is not the provision of his job. His job is he follows the constitution of the party.
Have you spoken to the party leader about this?
No, I haven't. I have not.
You are personal friends with Raila Odinga.
I can give you some history, and I'll give you some history. When Raila Odinga went and shook Uhuru Kenyatta's hand, March 9th, 2018, he did so without involving some of us who have been the length and breadth of the campaign of 2017. I have said it on other platforms. He did so without involving his generals. Just the day before, March 8th, he called Honorable Senator Orengo and myself to his office to ask. I got sworn in at Uhuru Park at the end of January. We've now waited a month. What do we do? And we agreed a direction. That direction was quite radical. It was a direction that meant we are now, and I was very clear on March 8th, you have been sworn in, you now must go and take your office. And we slated a date called March 27th as the date we shall march to State House to give the people's president his office. We agreed on March 8th on a direction towards that cause. I was shocked, just like everybody else, that the next day he went to shake hands with Uhuru Kenyatta. When he did so, I said it seems like a surrender. Because that surrender, he did not go with terms or rules of engagement. He went so kivyake himself. He went so without his generals. And I said, hallelujah, that is a surrender, but look at the cost. Look at the cost.
When did you learn he's going to do the handshake?
I did not know until that day.
You saw it on
I
TV?
saw it on
like
TV
everyone
like
else?
everybody else.
Then it means you're not close, very close to the...
I'm telling
core
you,
of
just the
ODM.
day before, we were three of us in a meeting. And that meeting was for 3 to 4 hours, discussing our next moves. So you can tell me about closeness.
And the next day he shook President Uhuru's
Yes,
hand without the three of you knowing?
Without Senator Orengo was in that meeting, myself and him. We're only 3 of us in the meeting.
Okay.
So I did not know.
Okay.
Senator Orengo did not know. So I do not know what you mean about closeness. We were close, and very close.
Okay. I'm going to come back to ODM, but I want to talk about something you have mentioned, that you are life member of the party, you're loyal to the party to an extent that you almost lost your life. You're talking about events that took place after the election. There was also an event that took place right here on the 17th of this month. And among the several issues that we have seen going on, you being blocked to the highway and all, why all of a sudden is Jimmy Wanjigi in the headlines for all these reasons that we've never known you before?
Ken, you know, your guess is as good as mine. In 2017, I think it was very clear, and because that episode happened soon after the Supreme Court ruling. And I must say, and I reported it, there were certain individuals that came to me to threaten my life. They came. Before I was ready in my house, there are certain government officials that came to my home to tell me now my life is at threat. I said, I was not even on the ballot. Why is my life at threat?
Mm-hmm.
They said, you are the machine of NASA.
That's
And
why
this-
they were after
and
you.
this, yes, and this machine must be uprooted. You are the machine. So you either back off or your life is at threat. 2 weeks after that threat, and I'm telling you, they came to my home. So they are people I know. I even wrote a statement to the police. 2 weeks after that, they were raiding my home. Raiding my home. So when you receive a threat from people who are in government on your life, I don't think it is a wild imagination. They came, raided, and God was with us. 3 days, they did not find me, and I was in that home. That was the hand of God. But let us even go further. January 2018, I was a quarter-page advert in an obituary in the Nation newspaper. That is what you call a death promise. That's what Mossad does to Hamas. It is a well-known international fact. You appear and you will disappear thereafter if you appear on an obituary. It is known in this world. So I got a death promise, January. Come February, after Mijungu was deported, they come to try and grab me on a highway. They go after that to even try and arrest my father for crimes or reasons we know nothing about. In fact, whatever it is they were trying to do ended up nowhere in court. Zero. I wish the same force they had used to come for us and come for me, they had used the same force in court. Let's go further. Now, another election, 5 years later. So for 5 years, Jimmy is okay. Now an election here, in these premises here, at 9:30, just a few days ago, people dressed like they're coming for terrorists here, in space gear, covered from head to toe, armed to the teeth, terrorize us for about 18 to 20 hours. Again, we go to court. I wish they had the same figure. We go to court, hakuna kitu.
You actually left
Zero.
Yeah.
No plea, no charge, no bond. Because they had orders.
The video is now playing. I think it's playing on air. That's the time that they busted into your office after 18 hours. What was going through your mind? Because you were standing there watching the door being broken into. What was going through your mind?
I was actually thinking about the safety of my son.
He was here
He was with me.
Okay.
Yes. I was thinking of the safety of my son. I was thinking of the safety of a very good friend of mine, because Steve was here, and my lawyer, Willis. Actually did not want them touched. I did not fear what would happen to me. But I was very concerned. And in fact, in the room, I told them, please stay very far away from me. They shoot at me because we could see them in the camera. They had come with their guns aimed as though they are looking for a terrorist. I said, please stay away from me. Don't come near me no matter what happens. They can do what they want to me. But please, I don't want to imagine that anybody has touched any of you.
So, Jimmy, what is the reason why this has been happening to you on top of your mind? Why is it that suddenly there's a lot of this happening in your life? It's never happened before.
You know, we have been in the arena of politics, business politics, for a long, long time. From the Moi era, we have been in this. We were in it during Kibaki's period. This is the only time under the regime of Uhuru Kenyatta that I have faced this.
Okay.
It's the only time. And I can tell you, I was part and parcel, if not very crucial, to the government of Uhuru being formed.
I'm going to talk about that. But before I talk about that, do you think it's the president behind all this, Jimmy?
I doubt anybody has the courage to come for me without his authority.
You think the president could authorize for people to come and invade your premises, invade your house, pick you from the road and pick you from your offices? You think the president is behind this?
I can assure you of one thing. I have been in this sphere of power. None of that would have happened without his knowledge.
Have you spoken to the president since this incident?
No.
Why? He's your friend. You were instrumental to him coming to power. In 2013, we actually heard that the power agreement was crafted in this building. You have his phone call on speed dial.
That is true.
Yes.
We had a difference of policy all the way back in 2014. By 2015, we were miles apart. You see, I had one mantra, and it is true. A lot of what was crafted of Uhuru was done here, in this office, and in my home.
Okay.
So I can clearly say, and I'm sure they will not deny this, that the government of Uhuru would not have been formed without me. Now, we had one mantra, Because the issue at stake was ICC and the unity of Kenyans. That if Kenyans save you in the People's Court and save this country vis-a-vis unity, you will save the nation.
Okay.
You will rescue the country. You will make sure that poverty is something we don't talk about. But within a year, I could clearly see that the policies that were being churned out were going to impoverish Kenyans. And one thing I'm very glad at is that now we have statistics to prove it.
Okay.
Just a few weeks ago, before you go on, Ken, KNBS came out with figures that said between 2014 and 2018, 2014, the poverty rate in this country was 38%. That is what Kibaki handed over to this government. By 2018, the poverty rate was 53%. In other words, 53 out of 100 Kenyans do not have 200 shillings to live per day. That tells you a failure of policy. A failure of policy. And I could see it and noted it very early. And I said, I cannot be part of this because history
will judge everyone.
Yes.
However, you gave President Uhuru Kenyatta the deputy and you gave the deputy the president.
Correct.
Looking back, do you regret that decision?
No, no, not at all. Not at all.
You have just spoken about failure in policy. You gave Kenya a president and deputy president that has taken us where you want to take us away from.
I agree.
Do you regret that?
But there is something that was achieved. We had unity in Kenya. There was unity. If you recall 2007, for the first time we had massive bloodshed in this nation. We had two communities that had shed blood, that had come together on the table for the sake of the nation. We had unity of purpose. We even told ICC and Wazungu, we will solve our own problems. That was patriotism. Without that unity and security, there's nothing else.
Okay.
So for that reason, I can tell you I'm very proud of having achieved that, of having been part and parcel. Because what would Kenya have been without that? So I'm very, very proud to have been part and parcel of that. Very, very proud.
In 2013, you were instrumental in bringing that government together.
Yes.
Yet in 2014, you say in 2012, right into 2013, you say in 2014 you had difference in policy, so you couldn't be party to it. Well, that policy that you have spoken about, you see where it is. So after that, that is the time you fell out with the Jubilee government?
Yes.
In 2014?
By 2014, by the end of 2014, we had fallen out on policy. Purely on policy. On policy. It was not personal.
Business?
No. It was not personal. It was not personal. I could see a lot of the debt, for example, this is among one of the issues that was being taken, was going to impoverish Kenyans. We were clapping at that time about taking debt. Today you know where Kenyans are about debt. They understand the pain. We saw it all the way back in 2014.
Why didn't you speak sooner, Jimmy?
I did speak. But you see, what voice did I have? What platform did I have?
Is that why you're looking for the platform?
No. I spoke, hold on, go slow, Ken. I spoke to my friends.
Okay.
Who were in the front, who were in government. Said we are making fundamental mistakes here that are going to impoverish Kenyans. By 2015, when they were not listening, I called my friend Raila Odinga because we had maintained a friendship. I think it's important you know that we were friends from all the way back in 1991.
Okay.
I called him and I said, I think I have a template for the next election. And that's where, if you recall in 2015, we started talking about corruption. We started talking about corruption. And we were very open.
Ahead of the election?
Ahead of the election. No, yes, it was starting in 2015.
Yes.
That far, 2 years before.
Yes.
Because that's the time you start getting defined. We made enough noise that even the president went to parliament and put down a list of shame.
2014?
I was very happy because he was confirming that there was corruption. We then had issues like NYS that came up, which we made sure went to public. We made sure Eurobond, again, it was a tangible thing. And imagine Eurobond up until today, it has never been solved. There's no Auditor General's report. And I don't know why the media, I repeat again, I said it on Citizen a few months ago. Why have you not asked for the report on Eurobond of the Auditor General? Where is it?
I think you should say, why have we not been given, not why have we not asked?
No,
because we have
the
asked
media, you know, this is a responsibility you also have as a watchdog. As a watchdog, there are some very incomplete stories, and you must play your role. You must play your role.
Okay. I'll take you back. I think the list went to Parliament, wasn't in 2015. The list that, so a number of inner circle of the president, it went to Parliament before you called Raila in 2015. It was before that.
No, it was 2015.
It was 2015 after you called Raila.
After we called Raila.
You called Raila.
After we had made various statements, Raila made various statements about corruption.
Okay, so it was within that time.
Yes.
All right, so that was the fallout with the Jubilee government. The fallout with Raila Odinga. 2017, you campaigned for Raila Odinga. You were at the forefront. I covered that election. I was wherever there was news, and I saw you quite passionate about this.
I was.
Yes.
I must say.
You're passionate about it. Have you lost that passion for what you believed in 2017?
Oh, no. It's been reinvigorated. I am a very charged person. I'm actually very excited about this election and this period. What happened is betrayal. Betrayal. I was saying earlier, the handshake did not take into consideration what had happened in 2017.
Okay.
2017, we had a nullification from the Supreme Court of a declaration of a president. First in Africa. Look how far, under the new constitution, we had achieved democracy and reforms. Brave. The country was invigorated. We thereafter saw an sham election in October of a single candidate, more or less, where even that candidate was competing with the non people who have not gone to vote. That is what he was competing with. We went, because of that sham election, all the way to January, the end of January, where Raila Odinga was in the capital, took an oath of president. That is the ultimate defiance. That mood, because I can tell you I was there. The mood in Uhuru Park was one of liberation. That this yoke of being controlled by certain people in power, what I call internal colonization, is actually going to leave us and free us. Then what do we do with it? Ends up in a personal handshake where nobody knows what is going to come out of it for the people. We have calculated a total of something like 82 people who were shot by police bullets during that period. I'll tell you why we have calculated. Because in my suit with the Nation newspapers, because the suit is on an obituary where, fortunately, I'm still alive. I say, the people who lost their lives, whatever I'm to get from the Nation, I would donate to those people. Because they lost lives. Nobody has talked about them since that time. You have people like Mijungu, who had the courage to stand up and administer the oath. And you've seen him being disenfranchised as a citizen. An attempt to try and disenfranchise him. You have seen over and over, one case after another, including the sister of Raila Odinga, Ruth, who is still in court today for incitement of that time, and many other cases. Nobody has thought about all that in 5 years. You have seen something else, electoral reforms. What did we achieve that time? The same Chibukati, who was the returning officer, who certifies his oaths, is still in office. And the Supreme Court was very clear in its declaration. Illegalities and irregularities. 5 years, he's still there.
Protected by the
Constitution.
Constitution.
By the Constitution. Not only by the... But we could have removed him. Isaka San was protected.
Yes.
But our demonstrations removed them. Our tear gas Tuesday and Thursday removed them. So don't tell us about the Constitution. Wananchi have got the capacity. Wananchi. And this is the time I'm calling on people to say enough is enough. This system is rigged from when you are born. There is internal colonization here that must end.
Okay. So the real reason why you parted ways with Raila Odinga perhaps is more of before your declaration to run for president on ODM ticket.
I was telling a story.
Yeah.
The story goes up to here. That soon after, because, I think this is a time for testimony. I keep saying that this is a time, Kenyans must know what really happens. And I'm prepared to speak. And these are not secret discussions. They must know what happens. Because it's their lives. We must cure something called political illiteracy. Because it's the worst form of illiteracy. Okay, it affects all our lives. Everything you are is politics. I'll come back to that. What happened is that we met formally at Kenneth Matiba's funeral in Murang'a. And Kenneth Matiba was an icon to the second liberation. That weekend, I had a long discussion with Raila Odinga, all the way in Masai Land. He came to pick me up, we went to Masai Land. And he told me, Jimmy, you may not be very happy with what I did. But I want to tell you categorically that my agreement with Uhuru Kenyatta is that I am retiring.
Raila told you he was retiring.
He is going home. That was his last election. He went on further to tell me that in all sincerity, I have not had a friend and a partner and somebody as resilient in a campaign like you. You espouse a lot of what I believe in, what our party believes in, what this nation needs for change. And I want to encourage you to enter politics. You have done enough in the back. You must come out and start being in the front. You must remember, this is somebody we have looked up to for many years, saying, I have total confidence in you. Being a leader, and in fact, he was very clear. There's no other post for you, it is just presidency. There's nothing else. What is ahead is presidency. We have had 3-4 occasions of such discussion. I'll tell you even here that when the nomination of ODM was being opened, he called me to his office and asked me to put an application. And I said, this is too early. It's too early in the year. I put in an application, it's too early. These are things that are done a year. I don't know why they are rushing to do it January, February, almost 2 years to an election. So this is not something that has just come.
Okay.
But he's not the only one. I also know what I can do for this nation.
Okay. I'm going to talk about what you can do because you say you have a wide vision. But even apart from talking about what you can do for the nation, I'd like to know why you think the nation can trust you with that. But perhaps the other question, all right, I'm told I have to take a break, Jimmy. When we come back, I'd like to talk about that. But first, you have been very consistent in the campaign trail since you declared Fagia. I'd like to talk about that because it looks as though Jimmy has changed the tactics. You have been very ideological on the campaign trail. But suddenly, you keep any campaign the last few days that I've seen you, you mentioned 2 families. I'd like to know why is it that suddenly Jimmy talks about families as opposed to what you have been talking about long enough. All right, so we take a break on News Hour. When we come back, we'll start from there. We'd like to know the credentials Jimmy Wanjigi holds, apart from being that businessman, also a political businessman. What else is it coming on the table to convince you that you need to vote for him? But first, the break on News Hour. Be back in a moment.
We have a reputation. We've heard it all. Too loud, arrogant, scammers. They made us feel small, but we're the generation of giants. No matter what they call us, we never let it stop us. Step forward, keep walking. We have a reputation. We've heard it all. Too loud, arrogant, scammers. They made us feel small, but we're the generation of giants. No matter what they call us, never let it stop us. Step forward, keep walking.
This is a program that focuses on working with out-of-school girls to give them an opportunity to access literacy and numeracy. And these girls are girls who, for one reason or the other, have either dropped out of school or never been to school.
We designed EFL working with the government officials at the Ministry of Education and also working with the girls themselves. And so we were able to pull through as 3 organizations that had strengths in these areas and designed a program that also brought in the catch-up centers. And so it has contributed in reaching the marginalized and excluded women and girls. It's also contributing to our fight against violence.
All right, live from Westlands. This is Kwacha House, the official offices of Jimmy Wanjigi. I guess this will be your campaign secretariat also.
No, actually, we are opening up another office.
Oh, you're opening up?
Office,
oh,
yes.
Right.
Yes.
So tonight we're talking about Jimmy Wanjigi, the man. He is an ODM presidential aspirant. He's also a businessman, a political businessman also. Instrumental in crafting 2013. 2017, he was behind Raila Odinga, and he has admitted that he really worked hard for Raila Odinga. And Jimmy Wanjigi now feels like politics is very lucrative business for him, and he's throwing his heart in the ring. He wants to be your president. I know you want me to ask what he's bringing to the table, apart from having this vast knowledge in business. So what is he bringing as a politician? But Jimmy, a lot of sentiments out there are that you have actually been setting stage to leave. The fact that you're insisting that ODM must follow the constitution. You want to run on ODM. I spoke earlier about the body language of ODM members, and they seem to be shifting and held on Raila as their presidential candidate. So the argument is, you technically, the way you stopped when you had supported Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto, 2017 Raila Odinga, you want to leave. You just want to leave. You're just giving people reasons to leave because you declined to include this agenda in the NDC.
What do you mean reasons to leave? If they are not following the constitution, I'm not the one who made that constitution. Follow the constitution. I've asked you over and over again, when did Raila Odinga become a presidential candidate of ODM? Mm-hmm. Where was this decided? Where did it happen that has excluded all of us who are interested in this? I don't want to leave. Why do I want to leave? But I can assure you, if there is a method that is used contrary to the constitution of ODM to decide on that candidate, they will live with their consequences, and I will live with the consequences. That I assure you. They will live with the consequences of that decision. And I myself will live with the consequences of that action. Because I am going to defend this to the very end.
To the very end.
To the very end.
And the court is the very end. Let me ask you.
No, the court is not the very end.
Okay.
The people are the very end.
Oh, in terms of...
The people will
make the
sovereign and
decision.
supreme.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me try and twist this a little bit. If ODM would today decide to call an NDC, the way the constitution dictates, following it to the latter, right? And you go to the NDC at Kasarani, at Moist, wherever it will be, and you're not nominated, will you stick in ODM?
I'm not nominated.
You're not nominated for president?
If there is a free and fair process, I'm a Democrat. Why would I not stick? If they follow the rules and the constitution, and there's a free and transparent process, why wouldn't I stick? Why would I exit?
Okay.
You saw that in 2007. In 2007, you had a candidature of Musalia Mudavadi for the same party. You had Joe Nyaga You had Balala. You had William Ruto. And you had Raila Odinga. They stayed.
The Pentagon.
Yes, they stayed in the party. They went through an election and they stayed. It was transparent. In 1997, I think that was probably one of the best in DP. You had a contest between Mwai Kibaki and Dubai from Meru. That even ended up being televised debates, where they were debating about the policies and direction of the nation. They had a nomination process in DP. Dubai lost, he stayed in the party. So why wouldn't I stay if there's a transparent process? If you look at my letter all the way back in August, September, I was very clear. Please tell us the rules, advertise the rules. I want televised debates. I want us to be transparent and open. I want to invigorate this party. I even went out and started opening offices where there were no offices. And some people started fighting me. From within the party. Hey, I'm popularizing the party. What is wrong? Why would I leave? I'm investing. I've invested throughout.
Okay.
And I'm saying, apart from investing my time and my mind and money, this is about time that we show Kenyans that this party can actually get power. You know, the previous methods, and I want you to indulge me with this. The previous methods in this country has been about coalitions. So you've had people who have briefcase parties, or people who have tribal parties that come to the table and you form coalitions. My view was always that for proper democracy in Kenya, we need to transcend those barriers. We need to have true national parties that are not tribal, right? So that we evolve maybe a two-party, three-party system, right? Where interests, where even the smallest of communities has a chance to come up. ODM has that chance. And I'm very keen on taking ODM to power. ODM, very, very keen. It has been my wish, it has been my prayer, that this is one party I can take to power.
Okay.
I have a formula, I can take it to power, right? The ideologies it espouses, after all this time, it should be the party in power, not through even a coalition.
Okay. The only condition that you're setting here to stay in ODM, if I'm listening to you, I'm listening to what you're not saying, is let this be a fair process. I'll be with you all the way.
Yes. And what has happened here is that you must appreciate, an NDC is a very expensive affair to call. Very expensive. Very, very expensive. That's why you don't hear of many NDCs. It's very expensive. So here we are, 5 years later. The last NDC was in 2017. Here we are 5 years on. Right? Timely, 6 months to the elections. We have an opportunity to have a transparent process. It's been opaque since we announced our candidature. Completely opaque. Nobody wants to talk about it.
Okay.
You can't call another NDC. And in this particular NDC, which is slated, you even call it wrong.
Okay.
Contrary to the constitution.
Okay. They say party iko na wenyewe, Jimmy. Party has honor.
Nani huyu?
You've just been there for 5 years, Jimmy.
Who are these people?
You've been there for 5 years. The people have been there longer.
So it doesn't matter, as I said earlier.
A bigger stake than the people been there
Who
longer.
told you? Is it investment of time or quality investment? Please.
Everything.
The
constant.
point, and who is this wenyewe? Are they in the constitution? Are they in the constitution of the party? Because you're acting like there's some rules somewhere that don't involve that. Yes.
Okay. The reason I'm saying that is
wenyewe ya chama Ken ni wananchi.
Wananchi.
Members of the party are wenyewe ya chama.
Okay. If at all they don't do it, I know you want to fight it to the ballot as a presidential candidate. The other reasoning is that can't Jimmy just walk away at this time? I mean, instead of going to court and doing this, they're adamant. I mean, they're adamant. Look at even the body language of the Secretary General. They're adamant. Why don't you just walk away and find a good home somewhere that you're accepted?
I will not take the body language of unelected officials.
Unelected?
Unelected
okay.
officials as the mood of the party. I would take the membership as the mood of the country. The only elected official there, as of to date, and he's up for re-election, is the party leader. Is the party leader.
Okay.
Everybody else is unelected.
All right.
In those official positions.
All right. Let me put that aside because we have belabored it. You want to lead, you want to be the 5th president of the country. From the top of your mind, Kenyan who's watching, if you had a minute to convince this Kenyan why it's Jimmy Wanjigi and not any of those candidates, what will you tell them? This is the one reason that you have, I'll discuss it further, but this is the one reason why I, Jimmy Wanjigi, am running for president. What would that be?
I am going to liberate Kenyans from a very rigged system. I come from Murang'a, and we have a saying in Kikuyu land called Itweka. Itweka is a break from one generation to another. A complete break. We have had 60 years of what you call internal colonization. Internal colonization. The system is rigged from the time a Kenyan is born to the time they die. That is why even today you have an apathetic populace to this electoral cycle.
It's liberation.
It's liberation.
It's liberation.
And I have defined that liberation primarily on an economic platform.
Okay.
But it is deeper than that.
Okay, I'm going to come back to that. I want to take you back to the founding president, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, because of the negotiations during the colonial period. Prime Minister, he became president, followed by the late Daniel Toroitich arap Moi. Also served for president for 24 years. He had his roots in politics, followed by Moi Kibaki, roots in politics all the way from Moi's time, all the way to the time he became president. Followed by President Uhuru Kenyatta, attempted first in 2002, right? And then he had to wait for 13 years. I mean, everyone has their roots firmly in politics before they declare and they win the elections. In other words, they have earned their stripes. They can show Kenyans that I have a very consistent political history. And politics and business, they're intertwined, but politics is a little bit different. So you don't have that history of politics. Nowhere. Jimmy Wanjigi, businessman, no politics. I'll call it power broker, but no political history. Where are you from?
That is exactly what I'm saying. This is time for freshness. What has happened with all those people in office? It's the same rigged system I'm talking about. 60 years.
60 years from 1963?
Yes,
Okay.
we're now 60 years.
Mhm.
I have categorized it in two ways.
Okay.
The first is that there's a time and a period. We had the first liberation, and this is something even my party leader copied from me. We had the first liberation, 62 to 92, which was the independence period of liberation. You had the second liberation from 92 all the way now to 2022.
Yeah. 30 years again.
That is 30 years, which climaxed with a new constitution and us knowing our rights. Implementation has been the challenge. Now we are going through another period. So whatever has happened in the past,
The third liberation.
the third liberation.
Okay.
And the third liberation cannot carry people of the second or the first. I'll give you an example.
Okay.
Jaramogi was a hero of the first liberation. Jaramogi Oginga Odinga.
62, 92.
Yes. He tried in 92 to be a hero of the second liberation. The first multi-party election we had in Kenya. After many people were detained and had problems of that internal colonization. What was he in that election? Number 4. Number 4 in that election. He could not get into the next liberation. Had Jaramogi said the liberators of this second liberation are the people who got detained, who had suffered, who had been in the forefront.
The James Orengos.
The James Orengos, the Raila Amolo Odinga,
Yes.
the Kenneth
The Tubu
Matibas,
Manyel, yes.
the Kenneth Matibas. Had he said, for example, that Kenneth Matiba, where Shikana na Raila, my son, okay, that is the ticket that will go forward in 1992, Kenya would have had a very different history. Because I can assure you, Moi would not have succeeded in that election. But because of trying to move from one liberation to another, we had another 10 years of Moi. Another 10 years. That it took us to rebel. Okay? In Mageuzi. By the way, I think people like James Orengo should tell you my role in Mageuzi, which ended up in IPPG that made sure that Moi could not stand again after 1997.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, it took us to keep fighting to exit Moi from the stage and bring about a modicum of a removal of internal colonization.
Okay.
Right? History would have been different. We are now at that period again, where a big lie is being told. And it's a very big lie. That somehow or another, my friend Raila Odinga can succeed.
Can go to the third
to
liberation.
the third liberation. It is a big lie. He
But they say
cannot.
this is his biggest
No,
chance.
he cannot. Who told you that? He won in 2017. Supreme Court said it was an illegal election. He won in 2017. Because you don't steal what you have. Said there were stolen votes. And I don't know whether you remember the ruling. They refused to open the server. Minor Kia case. Refused to open the server. And I can tell you what was most dramatic is Form 34B, which is the polling station of the president, the constituency. Of the 290 forms that were submitted by IEBC, to be looked at by all of us, those 290 forms, 84 of those forms did not have security features, watermark feature, that you put up like the currency, our 1,000 shillings or 100 shilling note, and you see something when you, with light.
They had no security.
They had no security features. On those forms were 5.4 million votes that had to be wiped out. So where were those forms created? It was a sham election. Raila Odinga won the election of 2017. That was his election. And he had for the very first time an institution called Supreme Court which said, validated a rigging.
Okay.
We had an opportunity at that time. And he chose, as I said, to say he's retiring. And I can only say he did so because I believe he wanted peace. Okay? And we got it. This is not his election. Another lie is being told. And if we get this wrong, we are going to live with this plague.
What do you mean if we get it wrong in terms of electing?
You see the tragedy?
Yeah.
The tragedy is this. I said that's one part, liberation. This is the third liberation. The next is that we have been dominated by the very families you're talking about. You asked me an earlier question.
Yes.
Why have I changed my Fagia?
Yes.
I am still Fagia when I talk about those two families. Those two families, namely Kenyatta and Odinga, have been on every single presidential ballot since independence. 60 years. The first one, Jomo Kenyatta. The next presidential election was in 1992. You had Jaramogi Oginga Odinga. The next one, 1997, you had Raila. The next one, 2002, you had Uhuru Kenyatta. The next one, 2007, you had Raila. The next one, 2013, you had Raila and Uhuru. The next one, no, 2013.
Yeah, 2017.
Then you had 2017, the same.
Okay.
Today, we can see they're even in one ballot. In one ballot.
No, President Uhuru is done
No,
with
they're
this
in
time.
one ballot.
No.
Si wanasema wako Azimio sijui nini. I mean, they're in one ballot against all of us. Please. Please.
What do you mean against all of us and you're in
please.
ODM?
I think enough is
You are-
enough.
you are in ODM.
No,
How
no,
do you
no.
mean against
Yes,
all of
I
us?
am very clear.
Yes.
My party leader, this is not his time. It is not his time. Give us a break. There are many Kenyans who can get seats.
Why don't you let
And
Kenyans
they
to
have
decide? Because
ideas.
you're
No,
gonna be on the ballot.
at Kisimama. No, that's the point.
Yes.
I am saying, give us the platform to get this seat, this presidential ticket
Okay.
of ODM.
Okay.
Don't lock us out. Don't act like we don't exist. There will be consequences. And very serious consequences. I am very clear here. Right? Kenyans need to be freed. It is an Itweka moment.
Okay. The families, aside from the, apart from the fact that there are these families, Kenyatta and Odinga family for 60 years, I mean, no one has stopped any other Kenyan from getting in between them.
It's the same domination. It's called internal colonization. You think it's by accident? It's by design.
Okay.
When I tell you that it is rigged, I am telling you, see, umesema nimekuwa hapo. You said I have been there. So call me the insurgent. You know, revolutions come from different ways. They come from outside and they also come from inside.
From the inside.
I am the insurgent.
All right. So I want to flip this argument, Jimmy. If we have to make an argument about families having been in, two families having dominated the politics, there's an argument also that two ethnic communities have dominated this politics
No,
for
no, no,
quite
it's
a
not-
while.
it is not
so
the
that
same
argument locks you out.
That is not the same thing at all.
How is it not?
It is not. It
Okay,
is not.
explain to me how
it
it's
is.
not.
It is not the same thing, because anywhere in the world, right? Politics is local. It is local. It is local. So local means numbers. It is not the same thing.
So long as numbers
and let
can
us
support-
let us also be very clear, right? In fact, 3 communities have dominated political space, not 2, 3. Okay, don't exclude Luo Nyanza as dominating politics here. They have. Politics is local. It is numbers. It is numbers. It is cause. It is Vitendo. Kindly, kindly, kindly. And there's a history to this. The 2 communities that were in the forefront of independence of Kenya were Mount Kenya region and Ziwa Victoria. They were. The 3rd community that you're saying has dominated politics
Okay.
were actually viewed, even at independence, as collaborators of the Mzungu.
Okay.
They were built by the Mzungu. So there is a reason why there's been that makeup.
Okay.
But 2 families is very different to communities. Because communities have got millions of families. Here we are talking about 2 families. This is rigged. It is decided. And I'm telling you, I repeat, they are now in one ballot. Okay? One ballot together.
Okay.
Now they are not against each other, they are together. That's what we are saying. We have to break away from this. This is the Tweka moment. This is the time we say it must be about the people.
Okay.
So why I say, because you asked me a question, why I think it is me. I'm an insurgent. I know what has been happening. I have been there. I've been in the makeup of a lot of this that you are seeing today. And I know how the system called internal colonization has rigged it against every Kenyan that is not part and parcel. And it starts very basically this way. The colonizer, the Mzungu, who started this, made sure that the people are subjects and they are the lords. The people are subjects, they are the lords. You exist to feed them. Internal colonization is not too different. There is nobody here that is serving the people in leadership.
Self-interest?
It is the people, it is self-interest. It is the people that are serving a government.
Okay.
It's not the people who are lords. It's time that the people actually are the lords, like you've seen in democracies elsewhere.
You think it's possible?
Oh, yes.
Very possible.
Oh, yes.
So you mean you can be the 3rd horse? Are you the Trojan horse?
No, I like the way you say that. Maybe Trojan, maybe, but I would like to talk about these horses that you media have been trying to put out. How are they 2 horses? You said that I did Uruto
Yes.
in 2013.
You said it yourself also.
That was one horse.
Yeah.
That horse metamorphosized into Jubilee in 2017. That horse has now metamorphosized. One arm is UDA, the other is Azimio. It reminds me of COVID pandemic, which is the same virus. It mutates into Omicron,
Delta?
Sijui, I don't know what. It's the same thing. So which are the 2 horses? It's the same. It's the same. If you are talking about horses, we are saying we are creating the 2nd horse. This is one horse. What you're seeing there is the same horse. The same policy, same direction. You've had it. Raila Odinga said he will continue the policies of Uhuru Kenyatta. Administrative continuity. That is the extent of which he is one horse. William Ruto just yesterday said he has been part and parcel of Jubilee's successes and that he is going to rectify, he is capable of carrying on the successes and rectifying what has been wrong because he has been inside.
Same horse?
Isn't that the same horse? Yes.
So we're looking at the 2nd horse?
Yes.
And you believe you will be the 2nd
Oh,
horse?
absolutely.
Okay. I'd like to take a break. It's the top of the hour. But when I come back, I want you to tell Kenyans, because a lot of the comments that we received when we said we're going to have the interview, they want to see the difference that Jimmy can make. They want to see your ideas that you have. I know you're yet to launch your manifesto. But from the face of it, convince a Kenyan who will be watching tonight that this is the reason why you need to wait for my manifesto, and this is the direction that we're taking to get power. All right, we take a break once more on News Hour. When we come back, we'll discuss that. But believe me, there's still a lot to talk about. What is just mentioned about Deputy President William Ruto wanting to own the successes of the Jubilee Party, very important. What about the failures? Don't forget, he was instrumental in putting the two together in power. If they have to take the fall, does he take the fall? I mean, he was part of it. We come back after this short break.
KTN News. Get the whole story. We value your feedback and welcome any comments, queries, or complaints regarding our news content. You can get in touch with us on SMS 22155, call 0719 012 450, or email feedback@standardmedia.co.ke, or you can send us a letter on Post Office Box 30080-00100, or deliver it to our offices at Standard Group Center, Mombasa Road, Nairobi.
Every Friday, our dynamic trio unpack the hot economic stories that shaped headlines throughout the week.
On the Business Chat, we dissect the big stories with a view to critique and assess what it means to Kenyans and the greater economy at large.
Well, we take our time to go through the paper, line by line, so we can get to understand who stands to gain and why you should care.
Here, we separate the wheat from the chaff by analyzing key decisions and the economic implications from beyond the borders.
An informed citizen is our democracy's greatest guarantee. So we take the hits and the misses and show you how best to protect the promise that is our nation.
The Business Chat, every Friday on KTN News, your dose of unmatched content.
We're not taking credit for them being there, but if you ask them, they know that we know they're there.
They're going through to the quarterfinals.
How do you end the game in the 85th minute?
You can end it there if something abnormal is happening.
Amunga will run clear for Kenya's second.
But now you know, now you feel it, eh?
Fantastic run, Lacazette!
I wonder if you were to have monkey business, I think he would find more creative ways of having it.
The players have COVID, and it turns out the tests may have been false.
Join the conversation as well.
KTN News. Get the whole story.
All right, welcome back. We have about 45 minutes on the clock, so we still have quite some discussion going on here from Kwacha House in Westlands. Tonight, our guest on News Hour is Jimmy Wanjigi, ODM presidential aspirant. He says he's there to stay. In fact, if there's a credible outcome of the NDC that is calling for the nomination of a presidential candidate, he has nowhere to go. He's invested heavily, not only through the resources, but also he has been with the party since the transition, especially after 2017. Now, we'll also ask him who are his friends. Remember the remark he said, it's one horse race, so there could be a second one. and he could be that second horse. Now, what does that mean for you? We'll ask that question when we come back to discuss politics. But first, you're also very interested in the ideas that he brings on board, the ideas we've never seen. So the first question, he gave us the president, he gave us the deputy president, at least he was part of that team. Now, he also claims this presidency, this government, has failed Kenyans. Is he taking a beating out of this? Are your friends blaming you for this? Or even you, are you owning to some of the mistakes that have been made by this government before we talk about how to rectify some of them?
That's a very good question, Ken. Owning up to Uhuruto. As I said earlier, I am very proud to have participated in bringing peace, because there's nothing without peace. Now, I left any association with them when we disagreed on policy. So I don't believe I am responsible for any of their own policies, because I, thereafter, went to make sure that what they were doing wrong, the Kenyans have a voice, and that's the voice we did our best to give Raila Odinga.
Mm-hmm. You had a plan.
Oh, absolutely.
But the plan ended with a plan to win the election, not how to manage the country.
No, that's not true. I think we had one of the best manifestos Kenyans have ever seen in 2013.
Okay.
It was not implemented. And if it was implemented, it was implemented with other motives.
Okay.
And that's where we had disagreed on policy. But I can tell you, there are some good things. I will not deny. There are some good things. But at what cost? At what cost?
The common
Because
minority.
sometimes we must come to priorities. At what cost? At what cost? But I must say, there are some good things.
Okay.
I cannot sit back here and say Uhuru Kenyatta has been a total failure. All I can say is that some of the policies have made sure, and I say this of Uhuruto, because Uhuruto was there from 2014 to 2018, that you have impoverished more Kenyans than you found. That is a failure.
A factual statement?
A factual statement, it is, you are failures. You are failures.
More
Big failures.
Kenyans are poor in the 4 years.
53 of every 100 Kenyans are poor, cannot feed themselves.
53.
Yes. And that's what now I want to anchor.
Talk to us about
the third liberation.
Yes, talk to us now about your plan. I mean, the statistics, you could have it on your fingertips, but what is your plan for these Kenyans? Or is it just you just want to be president?
Oh, no. You know, as said in very many forums, the decision to go for this seat is a soul-searching decision. A decision because it's sacrifice. It really means, if you were to go by the tenets and the TOR of a president, servant leadership. That servant leadership means your self-sacrifice, your life for the good of your fellow citizens and the world. So please, it is not for my personal. I, in fact, had never envisaged I'll be in the front line of Kenyan politics. Never. I was very comfortable in the back. People smoked me out. But I was very comfortable in the back. But I can tell you the Uhuruto experience taught me that even if you have the best ideas and the best intent, it could go so wrong and you're responsible. So I chose to come out and disassociate and make sure we fight what was wrong. Fight what is wrong. So this is not selfish.
Okay.
I want to further say, when I define the next liberation as the third liberation, economic revolution, it is very clear what I'm saying. And this is clarity you will not get from others. There are three tenets to a revolution. One is rescue. The second is reform. The third is reposition. Three tenets. The 3 R's of a revolution. 3. The people need to be rescued. As I said earlier, there are 53 out of every 100 Kenyans that cannot feed themselves. You have poverty right in this city. Right in this city. You have Kenyans today who still live like hunters and gatherers 100 years ago. The people need to be rescued, and we have clear plans for that. The second is reform. We must remove what I'm calling as the internal colonization that is rigged against 99.9% of Kenyans. It must be removed. They must now take charge. I am that insurgent. The third is repositioning. We are a proud, very capable people. There's no reason why we have not taken our rightful place in the world. Kenya and Kenyans are amazing in their terms of their capacity. You will not find it in other parts of Africa. In fact, we are the admiration. Yet, we have been unable to take our rightful position in the world. And this is the time that we must understand that we have to get there. We have to do it. And we have to do it with our fellow Africans. Because Africa, for too long, has been made to believe in the world as the bane of all the problems. All the problems. And that branding has come from the colonizers who colonized us over 500 years ago, who have made sure that we keep looking. After they've exploited us all these years, we are still these backward people. But I don't blame them. We ourselves continued that process of colonization. Now is the time to say, first and foremost, let's get our house in order. I, as Jimmy Wanjigi, I'm very clear about how to do it. I have been there. I know. And I would like to see a Kenyan that is very, very proud of being a Kenyan. A Kenyan that is very, very proud of their government. Today, if you ask Kenyans, they're not even proud of their government. That's how sad the situation is. That feels good about living. That smiles no matter what their life is. That does not have stress. Because I think for far too long now, Kenyans are living through a period of stress in Baka. They don't even know what life is about anymore.
Okay.
So I have got a clear plan for that. So let me start with the first.
Okay.
Rescuing Kenyans. I don't want to talk too much about my manifesto because people copy, but I'll say a few things. You rescue Kenyans by first and foremost returning their feel-good. Their feel-good will be removing stress. The biggest stress we have is economic.
The burden.
And the burden of the economy. And the next is political illiteracy. People don't understand that's the worst literacy. Political illiteracy is the cost of your rent, of your food, of crime. That is our life every single day. So when I hear young people saying, oh, we don't care about politics, something that happens there, it is the worst illiteracy. It affects everything you do in this country. 100% of your life is siasa.
Okay.
Now, we must cure that illiteracy. Kenyans must know their country. They must know, and the system must be more transparent. They must have knowledge. We must literally force it down their throats. What is a country? What is their participation? How powerful they are, because they are powerful. They are very powerful. Second is economy. And when we talk about economy, there are certain basics. In this country, you have no database of what a maize farmer produces, but you know what a miller does. Tenets of an economy, data. Land is a resource. Human beings are resources. We must work on those resources so that we know in entirety how to boost those resources. Measure. Not because we want to come and tax them. Not because we want to police them. But because we want to make sure that they are producing and they are living wholesome lives.
Okay.
So we must work very, very hard to ensure that.
Okay.
And we have a template.
For doing that?
For doing that.
Okay.
When we talk about reform, we are clear about the system of internal colonization. The Constitution 2010 is so good in its tenets. It gave people back the power, right up to even devolution. But look at what has been happening. Look at the attempt at BBI. That is how tragic this is. BBI became a subject of leaders. Of leaders, not about the people. So here at the top, we want to create some positions so we can put together a modicum of a coalition. I can offer seats. But, you know, we need the counties. So let's give them, let's offer them something.
Okay.
And then we need the ward. Right?
What
So
are they
let's give them
getting?
5%. Let's give here county 35, and us here now we eat the chunk.
And
Where
they
are the people in this argument?
And the other government,
where are the people? Hakuna wananchi hapo.
They've been left out.
Okay?
So
Now,
how do you
I
do
want
the
you to
reform?
understand this
Yeah.
conspiracy.
Okay.
And I want to be very simple. Let us look at 50 million Kenyans. How many leaders are there? If we talk about elected leaders, the legislature, governors, MCAs, they don't pass 2,000. I think you have 1,400 and something MCAs. Let's talk about the National Assembly being another 600. Right? 2,000. You come to the civil service. In terms of leadership, no more than another 2,000. You come to the church, no more than maybe another 2,000. You come to business leaders, such as myself, another maybe 2,000. 8,000 people are in a conspiracy to govern 50 million Kenyans.
8,000
That is what it is.
Okay.
And it's important you understand this. Okay? So it becomes how all that is managed. Not the 50 million Kenyans.
No one thinks about them.
No.
Are you
And they are made sure, and 50 million Kenyans, they are made to understand, not to know anything. So there's no political literacy. I'll give you an example. Look at the budget making process. The constitution is clear, and the PFM law is very clear. What is the budget making process? People must participate. Tell me how many people since 2013 do you know of or have heard of that are participating? Those budgets are passed with
Every
public
year.
participation. We don't know whether it is a group that is rocketed here in town, or it's a set group of people that go to some room. Okay?
Okay.
Where is it advertised? People are not given knowledge. It is gazetted. How many people read gazette notices? It is on the Treasury website. Who reads those things?
Who knows it's
Who
there?
knows it's even there?
Okay.
Where are majority of Kenyans?
So I get you. Under the reforms, my concern is, how are you planning to do this? Democratic?
Absolutely.
Are you going to dictate how some of these things are going to happen?
In terms of what?
In terms of these changes you want to make. Are you going to be openly democratic about it?
Oh, yes. I would definitely carry
They say
the people with me.
The people that surround you are the problem. The people that surrounds power are the problem. It's not the power. That's what they say. Once you're locked in and the whole world is watching you, but you don't know what's happening outside your world that is created by these
Ken,
people.
I think you're not listening to me. Because I have said we are changing a system called internal colonization. Now we are saying the people are in the front. So it is no longer the people that surround a leader.
Okay.
That would surround me. It's the people. I said in Kijungu, for example, that you now have changed an education system to CBC. For all we hear, people are complaining about it. Where was this decision made to change it?
Okay.
Where were the people involved? In fact, if you wanted a referendum question, it should have been on that.
Okay.
You want to change from performance-based to competence-based? Educate Kenyans what it's about, let them have a referendum. That's about them.
About the
but
people.
don't tell us about positions here
Okay.
that is taking care of the interests of very few people.
Okay. That language, Jimmy, sounds like the language of UDA.
Is it?
Yes. People
Really?
first, no
Really?
leadership at the top. That's how they fought the BBI. We are not looking at positions. They talk about the hustlers, the people at the forefront. You either share the ideology of UDA or you have been behind the UDA.
I am so clear. I don't know why Ken you don't want to understand.
Do you agree
To me,
that's the
to
language
me,
of UDA?
I can assure, no. No.
When they say
the same
hustlers,
UDA,
people-
the same UDA cannot explain an economic policy called bottom up. So really, how?
So
how are we behind? They have never said this is a revolution. I am calling it a revolution. William Ruto, the head of, let me say, the facto head of UDA. Yesterday said, I want to continue the policies of Uruto, okay, where it is good and rectify what was wrong.
So
what is he saying?
Okay.
That doesn't sound like clarity about what you are saying. Let them not use mantra, sloganeering, right, and so-called a populist agenda. Don't misconstrue that to be a belief of ideology. Don't. We do not share the same ideology. We do not.
But at least you target the same people.
Everybody targets Wananchi.
Okay.
Right? I am not only targeting Wananchi, I'm talking about a system.
Okay.
I'm talking about fundamental system that needs to be changed.
Okay.
Yes.
The 3 R's. All right. That leads me to the next, because your manifesto is still out, because you're waiting for, you can't share the details of the manifesto. Anyway, even you wanted, we will not have the time to discuss of your manifesto. But that issue of UDA brings me to something that happened about a fortnight or 3 weeks ago. How did you get to the ANC NDC? Because we saw you leaving. How did you get that? Were you invited?
Yes. Musalia is a good friend. And he called me that same week of the NDC. And he invited me to the NDC. And I confirmed that I would attend.
And you attended?
And I attended. And I was very happy to see him being crowned in his position. I worked very well with him in 2017. If you recall, he was the chairman of our campaign. And I must say he did an amazing job. He was very easy to work with. And when I got there, I found that William Ruto had been invited. And I said, well, I don't want to be mistaken, because William Ruto coming meant maybe we'll be put in some box. I am not in any box. I went to celebrate a friend's party and his quest for leadership. So I did that. I congratulated him and I left.
You had to leave, yeah.
As you can see from there, the so-called earthquake became Kenya Kwanza. Had I stayed, I felt very clearly I would now be called Kenya Kwanza.
Okay.
So I didn't leave kwa ubaya.
You just
there are some people who say, Kwani, you're not friends even with William Ruto. Let me be categoric. If, for example, if I had William is coming to a funeral, I would not walk away. Why would I walk away? But this is an event that you had invites, and I didn't know until I got there. And I think somehow I should have been informed
that Ruto was going to come.
That Ruto was going to come. Maybe it was a last-minute decision. I'm not blaming anybody. But I chose what I felt is a prudent thing to do.
Okay.
I am in ODM. Please remember.
All right. Now that you've said you're in ODM, ODM wasn't invited in that function.
Yes, but I as an individual were, because we are personal friends. So I did not want to be mistaken politically. We are personal friends.
Okay. So you attended as a friend?
Yes.
And soon after that, we saw you with Kalonzo Musyoka. Soon after Musalia Mudavadi left.
Another good friend. And I recall, in Kitui, I was also very clear there that I am in ODM, Oka are my friends. I am in ODM. That is my party.
And friends walk together?
Yes.
So a friend of ODM walking with Oka, they're walking together?
They're walking together.
So you're walking together with Oka?
Well, I believe the friends walk together. I agree with you. Now, if we are going to talk about the conclusion of this process, because I think I know where you're trying to get to, Ken. Friends will come together. But friends will come together on the basis of what I am telling you.
Okay.
We must come together on an ideology and a philosophy of what happens after August 9th. This is an economic revolution. It's a revolution. And friends come together on that basis. It's about the people.
About the people.
About the people. Not conveniences here. It is about the people. And if people do not understand that it is that revolution, then we will not come together.
Okay. That perhaps lends credence in the notion that you've already made up your mind.
In which
to
sense?
work with your friends.
In which sense?
In the sense of ODM is not doing what I want. I will work with my friends.
But ODM are my friends.
But if ODM are your friends and Oka did not invite ODM and you joined your friends, you are ODM, but you joined your friends in Oka, who are also your friends.
Tell me something. Is an ODM and part of the leadership of ODM courting Oka? Are they not courting Oka? So how am I at variance? Are they not courting Oka?
That was before.
In fact, before, no, they are still courting Oka.
Yeah, right now it's more pronounced, but when
Yes,
that happened,
they were
it
still,
wasn't so pronounced.
they were courting Oka. They were even courting Musalia. In fact, what I find very tragic, very, very tragic. This was the chairman of our campaign in 2017. Then Musalia was a very good man. He was a very good man. I can tell you even the slogan of Nasa Hawa came from him. And he was an excellent chairman. Then he was celebrated. Now, when he has taken a different political position, he becomes a bad man. And even so-called things that happened in before 2017 are being brought up. You cannot do that. You cannot, yes. Yeah. You cannot do that. You cannot do that. Is it everybody else that's always at fault? It can't be. There's a common denominator here. Right?
How comes when he was the other side, there were never issues?
Yes.
Now there are issues.
Yes, even with me.
Okay. So, is this a do or die for Jimmy? I have to liberate Kenyans. To liberate Kenyans.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a do or die.
Absolutely. I will not stop.
Okay. Let's go back to the political parties. Every time you have always crafted a government, and we've gone all the way to the Moi time, and you've been quite instrumental. How does Jimmy Wanjigi benefit from bringing these parties together? You did 2013. Let me just go to the recent history. You brought Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto together. How did Jimmy Wanjigi benefit from that? And what did you want to benefit from that by bringing them together? Was it a political ideology that you believed in? And let's cross over to 2017. You brought all the NASA principles together once more, and you are the forefront. What was the benefit? Why is Jimmy so determined to bring parties together?
Okay. I'll tell you, I'll start with 2013. 2013, as I said earlier, was about peace. Even as a businessman, you can't thrive without peace. There must be peace. So, peace was the first and foremost motive. Peace in this great land of ours called Kenya. Second was generational. Some of us came up with the slogan digital versus analog. We were very keen on seeing generational change. Because as far as I'm concerned, just like I'm talking today, that was an opportunity, and it took a moment. For moving from my father's generation of Mwai Kibaki to my generation. It was an Itweka moment, a time to show different kind of leadership. And we had a platform called the 2010 Constitution to implement. Fantastic opportunity to divergently shift from what we had seen in the past. Unfortunately, the policies of my two friends did not adhere to that. So that was my motive.
Okay.
And when it didn't, I chose to find the analog candidate of 2013 and say, please, this is where they are going wrong. We must educate Kenyans about the disaster.
Okay.
Now, this is what I keep telling you about conspiracy. We termed Raila Odinga as analog in 2013. And I was part of that. Today, what we are seeing is analog is better than digital. Because the people who were talking analog are now seemingly supporting, who were talking digital are now seemingly supporting analog in Raila Odinga. It's shocking. It's shocking. Very shocking.
But even you supported Raila Odinga.
Yes, but he had a purpose. The purpose was, we need to put people together to destroy, to stop the destruction and the collapse of Kenya.
Okay.
Because that was what was happening.
Do you know what I'll take you to 2017 also, what you get from that, from bringing these parties together. What is not clear that Jimmy Wanjigi will invest time and resources for peace. Jimmy Wanjigi will invest time and resources to see a cohesive Kenya. That's all you wanted.
Absolutely.
Money, time,
you see,
energy, almost losing your life, just to see Kenya is peaceful.
Oh, kabisa. Kabisa. No, the first stage was peaceful. And a new generation, my generation. So different thinking to what has been happening in the past. Because as a businessman, you thrive when there's peace. And if you have policies that are more up to date, okay, software that is up to date, you benefit.
Okay.
You see, as a businessman, please understand me. A businessman is about solutions. A businessman thrives when the whole country is thriving. Thriving. When there is a market called Kenyans. Kenyans produce. That is market. When people have money, a businessman thrives. When there's no money, you don't thrive.
Okay.
So please understand that.
Okay.
It is incumbent upon me. If there is war, you don't thrive in business. There are few who do. Right? Because they thrive in that arena. I don't. Right? I am true to my belief that I would like to see a Kenyan that is free under Article 43. Free from hunger. Free from anything called a health problem. Free of the housing that we have seen all over the country that is dilapidated. Free of illiteracy. They must be well educated, even politically educated.
You have been
That is, you know, because that Kenyan will be a producer.
Okay.
And a great producer. A great producer. That will be a Kenyan with dignity.
Okay. You have been around for a while.
Yes.
When did this realization come, Jimmy?
I've always had it. I've always had it.
But you've always supported different people. They failed.
It's not about people. Yes, I agree with you. People have failed. But the intent has always been the same. I entered politics coming back from school all the way back in 1990, 91. And I came at the height of the second liberation. My father was part of that. He had been victimized by Moi. Kenneth Stanley Jindo Matiba, I used to call him Uncle Ken, was my Uncle Ken. I knew him from when I was little. I watched the man sacrifice his life for that second liberation. A man who, the week he was detained, I had breakfast with him at Lillian Towers. The next time I saw him in Nairobi Hospital, he did not know who I was. I watched a man sacrifice.
Okay.
I watched people like my father sacrifice their lives, what they had for liberation of our Kenyans.
Okay.
So let's be very clear. I have been at it. I even told you about Mageuzi. I have been at it. I'm consistent, very consistent. The problem, you're right, are individuals.
Okay.
But the cause has always been the same. And I was doing it behind the scenes.
Okay.
Now I've said that really, somehow people don't get it.
You're going to do it
And
yourself?
this is the time, yes.
To do it yourself?
Yes.
Tell me.
I am that insurgent.
Tell me, the notion that the subsequent governments have not really supported you business-wise.
Which government?
Uhuru and Ruto, and of course they have been in charge for the last time. They have never supported you business-wise, yet you invested a lot, so you hoped that a NASA government will support you. Is that notion true?
No. In fact, please, I think the only thing I have been transparent about and clear is that I had something to do with SGR, which was a project that climaxed during the coalition government. And I have been clear about the model. The model was private, not public money. And I've expressed this and I explained it enough times.
Yeah.
Is there anything else I sought? No. We had a fallout on just that alone.
So it was not business?
And I was not interested. In fact, I was very clear. It's not that they didn't invite me to do business. They did.
Okay.
And I said, no.
Two things in politics. You either have to have the people or have the money. Which one do you have? Or do you have both?
I believe I have both.
You believe you have both. Charity begins at home. Talk to us about Murang'a. I have never seen you go back home and ask them for an opportunity to be president. Why?
I will go. I have been very deliberate in my campaign. I want to be a national leader that comes from Mount Kenya. In 2017, Murang'a did not support NASA. I have a NASA constituency. I have an ODM constituency. I am in ODM. I have chosen to be a national leader before I go home. That is why I'm appealing in ODM for a transparent presidential election. Because I emerge, I will go and popularize, as I was trying to do with opening offices, in all the regions that it did not exist. So it's deliberate.
Okay.
I want to get away from the stereotype of having a tribal community behind me.
Okay.
I believe my ideas and my intent for Kenya will sell more than anything else. And my stand, I have stood even against and almost be killed because I was against my own tribal leader in 2017.
Yeah, in fact, you went with ODM, which was Raila Odinga's.
Yes.
So, to this Kenyan watching here, what have you done for him to consider you? This Kenyan who's watching today, the 42 million, forget about the 42 million. What have you done for this Kenyan?
You know, they say that a lot of what you see in the front, it's the people in the front who take the glory. But a lot of people will tell you that, for example, in the Kibaki period, a lot of the development projects that were there, we had a strong input in them. We participated greatly. I've given the indication of Thika Road, which changed the dynamics of roads in this country and highways. I've told you, and I've said this in the past, about bringing grants of money, changing contractors, bringing Chinese money. Some of us were behind that. At a time, really, just to speed up development, because before it was taking too long. Too long. I think that process has been abused under this regime, but the intent was always clear. I have said categorically that even second liberation, we may not have been in front, but we were there. We were there. We were not the front. Right up to Mageuzi, which we supported. So a lot of the things that Kenyans have enjoyed today, both politically and economically, I believe in big part, we have made that contribution.
Okay.
It is not by accident. You asked earlier, why is it Jimmy is raided? Why is it Jimmy seems to... Somehow, there are people who know this. Somewhere people know it. They know it. And they know that what I stand for is true change when I put my mind to it. And they don't want it.
Okay. We're going to play the video of the week next. But even as we do that, the other question about Kenyans is, Kenyans would have is, we have seen even the political leaders, they right now they talk about, if you want to see the future, see William Ruto. If you want to see the past, see Raila Odinga or listen to Raila Odinga. So if we want to see the future, we should look at Jimmy Wanjigi. So what is the future? What does it look like for you from where you sit? The future of Kenya?
A great Kenya. Kenyans with dignity. Kenyans who, under Article 43 of the Constitution of Kenya, which demands social and economic rights, do not want for anything.
Okay.
A poverty level that is not 53%, but maybe 3%. A Kenyan that is proud anywhere in the world. A Kenyan that I grew up with. The Kenyan that I grew up with in many big parts did not want for much, did not have, they had everything. A Kenyan that is taking their rightful place in the world. A Kenyan that is not only proud of themselves, but even proud of their government. A Kenyan that has seen what you call social mobility. That this disparity in inequality has been so narrowed that nobody cares who has or who doesn't, seemingly doesn't have.
Okay. Do you think the accusations that we see flying around, for example, the land fraud case, are going to diminish your chances?
Which case?
That went to court. They've claimed that there's land cases that you have. Will they diminish your chances? There are also claims about the Kibaki government, and there are a number of, as you talk about the good, they also talk about the bad that could have happened, and probably...
You know, persecutions are persecutions. And I believe they don't diminish, they enhance. Because they create more resolve in me.
Okay.
Knowing that I am doing the right thing. That's why I'm being persecuted.
I'd like to play the video of the week. I want you to watch it. It's a video we borrowed just from the internet. It's going to be playing next. And describe for me if that, because Kenyans have put a lot of tags on that video, as is a typical politician in Kenya. And if that politician is you, you talk about it. Let's play the video of the week. Jimmy, that video looks very hilarious. But talk to us about that video. Kenyans say that's a typical Kenyan politician.
Yes.
Is that you?
That is internal colonization. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Take, even what you can't digest. Just keep taking. That is the internal colonization. And that's what we are going to stop. That's definitely not me. That's definitely not me. Definitely not
Someone
me.
would say, how does someone get to the extent that he's so confident that he has the people and has the money if that's not them? Yes.
We are businessmen, my friend. Businessmen do not take. They do not take. They do not. They add value. That is a businessman. They add value. A typical businessman takes a product from here, adds some value, and passes on. They don't take. They add value.
Okay. I'd like to finish the show by talking about your friends. Worst case scenario. Kenya, they say you can't win an election without going for a coalition or to work with other people. Talk to me about your friends. You've spoken about NC Musalia Mudavadi being your friend. I have heard a language that Kenyans believe is a language of UDA, looking to the people. You're Raila Odinga's friend and you've supported him over the years. I mean, worst case scenario that ODM doesn't honor you in this way. Jimmy, what will happen to you?
Let's be very clear. I don't know this language of UDA that is talking about the people. ODM has always talked about the people. Please, let us give the party its rightful place in history. ODM is about the people, has always been about the people. If some people are trying to hijack it now, that's a different thing. But ODM is about the people. And ODM is not the party leader. ODM, it is rank and file. It has always been about the people. It has been the forefront of liberation of the people. So it's about the people. Don't give that credit to UDA. It is ODM that has been in the forefront of that. That's why we are in it. So please don't say the language of UDA. No, that is the ODM party. I know.
Okay.
And that is our language. So let's start from there.
Yes.
ODM has been able, over the time, to gather a lot of friends. And we will gather a lot of friends because it's about the people. This is too early. Coalitions are finalized 3 months to an election. This is our very early days. Wait. Now it is a lot of push and pull, a lot of brinkmanship, a lot of many, many things.
Where
you are going to see
where you play best.
Yeah, Kabisa. You're going to see a lot this month and early next month. And then wait for May.
Okay.
If you look at past coalitions, past partnerships, past friends, even Kibaki, when there was Tosha, it was October to a December election. October to a December election. Uhuruto, which some of us did, was December to a March election, March 4th. Literally just 2 months, 2.5 months. NASA, the single candidate of NASA, was done April, May to an August
election.
Okay. Gojeni kidogo.
Open-minded. You're open-minded, Jimmy.
Yes.
Very open-minded.
Kabisa.
Lastly, parting shot. Are these people afraid of your political prowess? I mean, you have been around for a while. You know how they create governments. You know how they get the vote. Are they afraid of that?
I think you better ask them.
What do you think? Why are they harassing you?
That you should ask them. It can only mean that I represent a change they don't want.
A change they don't want. I think that's a good place to end the show tonight, unless you have something else to say.
Thank you. Thank you, viewers. Thank you, Ken. Thank you all. We love our country.
Kenya, we are Kenya, and Kenya is our business. It's you to decide. Jimmy Wanjigi speaking to us tonight. Thank you for hosting us. Thanks to your wife and family also.
Yes, thank you.
Asante sana, and on behalf of the whole crew, thank you so much. Damien, events earlier on the show on sign language. Thank you for watching news. My name is Ken Mijungu. We do this again next week. Not same place. Don't come here. We've been studio. Yes. We'll do the same show, same time, that beginning 9 p.m. And thank you for watching. Remember, we go off air, but we are online, and Jimmy is on social media at Jimmy Wanjigi, Jimi Wanjigi. On Twitter, engage with him, engage with us. We go off air, but we're still online with the show. Have a good night, and God bless. Asante sana.
God bless Kenya. Thank you.